how this last trip started down to Kountze, Texas, I guess started a week before when we had gone down, me and three of the guys from our men's group had gone down to Houston and done some rescue stuff. And we were kind of updating the guys in our men's group and could see they were getting excited and fired up and wanting to help serve. And so we came back and kind of regrouped and prayed about what we should do. And the physical needs of people in that amount of time had changed from rescue efforts to then they don't have any food. They're completely out of food in the grocery stores. We have a picture of the inside where the bread goes, and it looks like a brand new grocery store before it was stocked. And so they don't have anything to eat down there, and some of them hadn't eaten for days, come to find out. We felt like we were originally led to go back down to Houston, and then the destination kind of shifted to Rockport during the week, and then another place, and eventually settled on this place called Kountze, Texas. I'd never even heard of before, but one of our guys had gotten in touch with a pastor from this church called Gateway Church, and his name was Chad, and he told us that they'd been basically forgotten and lost everything, but everybody's focus was on the Houston area. So we had gone ahead and we had cooked 60 briskets to take down there, and the plan was to make brisket sandwiches and then breakfast burritos. And one of our guys, Zach, had gotten in touch with somebody that owned a bunch of Pizza Huts and Subways, and they found out they were already wanting to donate, found out that he was going down there, and hooked us up with 100 pizzas and 250 sub sandwiches that we were able to take down, and handed out the pizzas on the corner to people. And that's kind of where the prayer revival started. We were able to stop and pray with people. I guess we're feeding their physical needs, their stomachs, and in hopes that there's an opportunity there to feed their spiritual needs. And so we had also taken a bunch of Bibles down that Pioneer Drive had donated, and we got them in all different versions and languages, basically because we bought out Mardell from all what they had. And so we had a table set up, and there was also one of the men in our men's group, his brother had written a book called The Good News, and it's kind of like a Cliff's Notes version to The Good News, and real basic and everything. And so we ended up feeding about 2,000 brisket sandwiches, 1,200 breakfast burritos, and then 100 pizzas and 250 sub sandwiches, and had one of our guys that was standing on the street with a sign that said, "Need prayers, free food, or hugs, stop here." And so he's out there holding this sign, and people were just rolling in, and anyway, the way that it kind of worked was they would go through the line, and we'd have other people who would go up and just visit with them and get in, find out about their life, and what did you experience. And I think during that just being inquisitive part of the interaction, the people felt like we genuinely cared about them, and then would either ask us to pray for them, or we would bring it up, is there anything we could pray with you about, and got a lot of interesting prayer requests. I had at one point a pocket full of cash, and we were kind of looking for special situations where somebody who had really seen a lot of devastation, maybe lost their whole home, and looked like they could use it. No, we weren't just handing out cash to everybody, and we would hand it out to them. And what happened more often than not, which was really strange to me, was we'd get to pray with these people and hear their stories, and at the end of it, I'd try to hand them some cash, and then the next thing you know, you've got Terry, the handlebar mustache guy with 20-inch biceps that's tatted up from head to toe, bawling, crying, and refusing to take any cash from me because there's somebody else who needs it more, and he just lost everything that he owned. And it was unbelievable to see the selflessness amongst that community. Our whole goal is to come and love people like Jesus said, to love your neighbor as yourself. And if I saw myself in need, I would help myself if I had the ability. And I see y'all's community in need, and we're down here to provide that and be the hands and feet of Jesus and love you like he would love you if he was here. And I said, we may never see each other again on this earth. I might leave here and never run into you again. But if you're a believer and I'm a believer, we'll be reunited one day in heaven, and we can think back on the time that, y'all had such a devastating thing happen to your community, and laugh about, we were able to share a moment that day in a parking lot, a gas station parking lot, over a brisket sandwich and a bottle of water and some chips. And he was like, thank you, called me brother, and gave me a hug. But one thing we did notice is, of all the things that we did down there, it became really clear that we can do that exact same thing here in Abilene, Texas. Why would somebody not stop in a parking lot and grab free brisket sandwiches and then allow us to visit with them a little bit? So it's not like you even have to go to Houston. I mean, these opportunities are all around us, but to go down there and have people just that are vulnerable and need somebody to love on them, and then come back here and do the exact same thing on our home field, would be a really great deal if that could happen.